The Kappa Delta chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated was chartered on February 8, 1975. This year, 2020, marks our 45th anniversary. Our chapter has grown from one school, the University of Connecticut, to 4 additional institutions: Eastern Connecticut State University, the University of Hartford, Trinity College, and Central Connecticut State University. There have been 122 initiates who have come through Kappa Delta. Recently, 2 of our chapter alumni were infected with COVID-19 and experienced serious symptoms. One was hospitalized for 4 days. Thankfully, both brothers have completely recovered. In the spirit of Alpha, the initiates of Kappa Delta spanning 5 decades are uniting together to share with you the following critical information regarding COVID-19. 1-9.
I'm here today to talk to you about the coronavirus and how it affected me and my family. Around the middle of March, I went to work, and after going to work, I went to the grocery store, and I came home normally, and a couple days later, some of the items that I purchased at the grocery store, I put on the grill for me and my family. After making or grilling the steaks and bringing them to my wife, I immediately told her to, I didn't want mine at this particular time, and I was going to lay down on the couch. I laid down on the couch for 11 days, doing nothing, just pure exhausted. No eating, no going to the bathroom, no drinking, just exhausted, couldn't move. I had a temperature at that time between 99 and 103 every day. And after 11 days, after I see I couldn't shake it, I called the doctor, and my doctor wrote me a prescription to have the coronavirus test done. In the meantime, he told me to call the ambulance and see if I can get to the emergency room. After calling the ambulance, the first responders came into the home. They tested the oxygen in my blood. It was fine. I didn't have a cough. I was breathing fine. So therefore, they couldn't take me to the emergency room. And I would have to wait for the Corona hotline organization to call me to come have a test done. 7 days later, no call, and I'm still not feeling well. I'm drinking a little bit. I'm not eating too much of anything. I'm still exhausted. And at this point, I called my doctor again. And at this time, he told me to make sure when I call him, tell him I'm having problems breathing and I need to go to the emergency room. When a week later, when I called for the second time, the first responders did not come into the home. It was my responsibility to get outside so they can put me in the ambulance. So my sons got me downstairs, got me to the gurney, and got me in, and I went on to Yale New Haven Hospital. During this process, well, there's a 3-step process when you get to the actual hospital. The first step is to get into a holding area until a emergency bed room comes available. And then, depending on if you're test if you test positive, whether you go back home or you get into a hospital room. Well, while I'm in the holding area, a doctor comes up to me and asks and says, and she makes the statement, well, I'm just going to hold your hand, okay? And when she made that statement, it made me think that she thought I wasn't going to make it. And that's when I really started understanding that this is serious and nothing to play with. So 40 minutes later from there, 40 to 45 minutes later, I was moved into an actual emergency room bed where they gave me they tested my lungs. They made sure I didn't have a cough, and they gave me an IV because I was so dehydrated. And during that time, they also checked all my vitals and made sure everything was fine. And then they gave me the test for the coronavirus. 2 hours later, around 11:30, I was told that I tested positive, and they were waiting for a hospital bed for me to have, and I was going upstairs to the coronavirus floor. I didn't get into a room till probably 4 hours after that, and when I was brought to the room, I realized how serious this virus is, because everyone was covered head to toe, and they had TVs for the doctors to talk to me through the TV rather than coming in efforts to try to save, not only protecting the doctor and minimizing the risk for the doctors, but also in efforts to save their protective gear, because the nurses and everyone that came in, once they came in, they had to take all their protective gear off and change into another protective gear when they walked out of the room. So during that time, I was there for 4 days, and I'm getting stronger because the IV is getting some fluids into me. And again, no cough, breathing fine. I'm not as exhausted anymore. I'm starting to eat, but I still don't have my taste buds back. And I still have a little fever, but it's going down. 4 days later, well, during that time, the doctor came in a couple times, and I'm getting stronger, so I'm asking her questions. And the two major questions I asked her was, how does this virus thing work? What is it about? And she said it attacks the lungs. And if that doesn't work, then you die because your lungs are not working. And that was scary to hear, because my second question was, after she told me that I was on the downside of the virus, because it was about 12 days that I had it, and it usually goes through, the process is like 14 to 16 days, and I was on the downside. And I asked her, how would I know if I'm good? How would I know if I'm going through the process, and she looked me straight in the face and said, "We'll know you're good because you won't be dead. Either you die or you live with this virus." And that made me really realize why, one, how serious this is, and two, how come it took 4 hours for me to get this room? Because they had to either wait for someone to either go home, and I didn't think that they would send someone home at 3:30, or die. Those are the only two options she spoke of. And 4 days later, I'm getting stronger. I'm eating a little bit. I don't have an appetite, but I'm eating. And she called. It was like 10 at night, and she said, "Do you have anyone that could pick you up?" And I'm thinking, well, it's already 10, maybe tomorrow. And she's like, "No, now someone needs this room." And I called my wife, and she picked me up around 10:30, and I came, and I was told that I just needed to isolate myself for a couple days, but I stayed down in my basement for 11 days, just to make sure, just to cover myself, just to feel comfortable being around the family, because the last thing I wanted was to get one of them sick. So I got back to feeling normal and better, 95, 90, in the 90 percentile of feeling better, probably April 20th. So if you remember when I started, it was probably March 19th. So from March 19th to April 20th, 1 full month, I was going through this process of the coronavirus. I say this to you all out there, please be careful. Please wear your mask. Please wear your gloves. Please keep your distance, because this is very serious, and I would not want this to happen to anyone, to you or anyone in your family, because it's not a good feeling for not only you for having it, but also what your family would have to go through. Because it wasn't like they were there going through with me. They didn't know. It's not like you get in an ambulance and they can follow you. It's not like that. It's not like Yale New Haven Hospital was going to allow them in. You're there, isolated by yourself. And fortunately for me, I talked to them on the phone, but I didn't know what was going on at the time and how the process worked. So again, please, your mask, your gloves, and your distance. Thank you.
Oh, 6. The Brothers of the Kappa Delta chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, in commemoration of 45 years of service, would like to thank you for listening to our message regarding COVID-19. It is our hope that this presentation motivates you to talk with a family member, friend, or mentee about COVID-19 based upon something you learned today. To see the full version of this video, which includes a testimonial from a COVID-19 survivor who was one of our chapter brothers, please go to www.kdalphas.com. We pray that you and your respective families stay safe in these trying times. Please share these messages in the African American, Latino, Native American, and any other community in which you are a part of. First of all, servants of all, we shall transcend all.